Welcome back to the Takeout. U.S. farmers now have until December 19th, to apply for a new tranche of federal assistance. The Trump administration yesterday announced a $12 billion package, $11 billion up front, then $1 billion in reserve, looking to help farmers hurt by tariffs and America's ongoing trade war with China and other nations. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins joins us now. Madam Secretary, it's great to have you with us. It is being written as a result of the trade war and tariffs, therefore being portrayed as a kind of own goal in soccer terminology, meaning we're scoring on ourselves. We're creating this problem for ourselves with tariffs that we have to then siphon some of that money to help the people who are suffering. Is that a fair description?
Well, I think that, Major, and by the way, it's great to be on with you. A month, 2 months, 6 months ago, in fact, when the president announced this, his Liberation Day earlier this spring, we were talking about that if there was any fallout, similar to the fallout from China Phase 1, if you remember in 2019, when the president was negotiating, and then they did, Sonny Perdue, then the Secretary of Ag, the team did a pretty significant bailout package based on that. This one's different, but my point is, when we started these conversations, it was always about that if in similar to 2019, we find ourselves in the same position based on all of the data, then we'll come around and do something similar. Interestingly, Major, what we found is that actually all of these tariff and trade renegotiations have not, in fact, compromised our farmers in this farm economy. What has really compromised them was, A, the skyrocketing of inputs under the last administration, and B, the fact that there were no new trade deals. So we went from a trade surplus in 2020 to a $50 billion agriculture deficit after the 4 years of Biden. So, yes, I have been very clear for months now saying if there's fallout from the trade renegotiations, then yes, we will do a package. But where we ended up, and good news in the shutdown, is we were able to really gather the data before we announced this, that it actually isn't a reason or a result of the trade negotiations. It actually is a result of years of the farm economy really struggling and in crisis. Now, as we move to next year, all of that becomes effectuated. The new trade deals, the one big beautiful bill, the tax cuts, and the cost of inputs hopefully are going to continue to go down.
Let me read to you from a Washington Post editorial this week about this topic. It says, Trump's tariffs have driven up input costs for farmers. Fertilizer prices skyrocketed. Some cost $100 per ton more than a year ago. Trump has recognized a handful of the negative consequences, which is why, for example, he removed import taxes on certain fertilizers last month. Do you disagree with any of that?
Well, I think it's a fair point. But only in this way. Everything else, 73% increase in interest rates under the last administration, 4 years for farmers. 47% increase in labor costs under the last 4 years, 36% increase in fuel, in seed, et cetera. So equipment, by the way, there is no doubt that input costs skyrocketed under the last administration, fuel, et cetera. That's all coming down. Fertilizer is a bit of an outlier because of the Ukrainian-Russian war, and we did have major disruption in the fertilizer lane because of that. We couldn't get it in because of the war. So what we've done is we have gone line by line. Fuel, how do we get it down? Machinery, how do we get it down? Interest rates, how do we get those down? Labor, we did H-2A reform. Labor is now coming down about 40% just based on some rule changes that we made. Fertilizer, the president realized, and we had a lot of talks about this, that fertilizer continued to inch up, again, for the Ukrainian war and some other reasons. So we needed to take the tariffs off of those immediately to immediately help the farmer. But I don't think there's any big message there. The tariffs didn't work. It was just, how do we basically spot this out to be able to help the farmers right now?
Another part of your obligation to the country, Madam Secretary, is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. You've said the program needs to be completely overhauled. There is a suggestion that the administration may withhold some form of benefits to 20 democratically led states over a dispute over data access. Is that really going to happen?
Well, let me level set us. So the very first letter I sent, I was sworn in February 13th. Within a couple of hours, we had a letter go to every governor in America, and we said, listen, all these years, taxpayers have funded hundreds of billions of dollars all these years. And the way SNAP works is it's a federally funded program, but the states are the ones who enact it. So every state is different, right? So we said we've got to get the data let's partner together. It was not aimed at blue or red states. It just said, let's partner together, send us this data. The data started rolling in. I'll be honest with you, Major, I didn't expect anyone to say, no, we're not going to send you the data. I really did, and I mean that sincerely. I expected all of these states to say, yes, let's make sure this money is going to the people that really need it, the most vulnerable families. Well, the data started rolling in April, May. We started analyzing data, found 186,000 dead people or their Social Security numbers being used. We found 500,000 people getting 2 or more benefits when they should only be getting 1. We arrested about 130 people based on this data we received. And in the summer, we started seeing this interesting pattern that all the data coming were from the red states, that I think we maybe had 1 blue state come in and maybe we had 1 red state not send theirs in. So we sent another letter at the end of the summer and said, guys, we're finding so much fraud. Help us figure out how to get rid of this. And all of a sudden, it then became a blue state versus red state. I would love nothing more than for the 21 states who have not sent the data, send us the data, let us work together, let us ensure that this money is being spent in the most appropriate and intentional way and not a subject of fraud. So we said, send us the data. A lot of the states said, we're not going to. It's not blue versus red. We said, if you can't send us the data and you don't help us prove that we're spending this taxpayer money wisely, then we're going to have to take some steps to make sure that it is. And one of those steps could be withholding the funds or withholding a portion of the funds until we have full confidence that taxpayer dollars are being spent effectively and the way they're supposed to be.
This is, as you know, Madam Secretary, a continuing conversation. You're always welcome here at the Takeout, so please come back.
Thank you for having me, Major. It's great to be with you.